My name is Nancy Freeman Dudley, and I'm a proud member of the Waccamaw Siouan tribe. And with me today also is
Andrea Jacobs Raphael, also a member of the Waccamaw Siouan tribe, located in Buckhead, Bolton, North Carolina.
and we were asked to just share a little short story about our community. So today I'm going to share about school because both of us work here at Southeastern, and it's very important to get an education. But to make it short, in 1932 was when the Native American community in Buckhead got their first school. And the information that I got from our elders and ancestors is gone on. One was my mother, Mary Amanda Freeman. One was Miss Meredith Freeman, which both are deceased now, and Miss Emma Bell Moore and Miss Delphi Patrick. They told me about the first schoolhouse that ever came, and it was called the Wide Awake School. And they used to say it was over here or over there. They really didn't give you a location, but they had to use horse and buggy to move this school. They had to take it down board by board, nail by nail, because it was in the Depression time. So they had to move it back to our community and build it back. And so that's where the first school was at, and it was called the Wide Awake School. They went to the 8th grade, and my mother told me about having to go to Clinton, North Carolina, because when you finished the 8th grade, there was no high school. So my granddaddy sent her to Clinton to stay with relatives or friends up there until she completed the 12th grade. She was one of the first out of 13 to complete high school, which back then it was really a privilege to be able to go to school. My father only completed the 3rd grade. Most people did just do the 3rd grade. They would learn how to read and write, and then they were back at work. We also used our churches, which is Mount Sinai and New Hope Baptist Church. They also went to school there until they completed our Waccamaw School, which is still standing in the Buckhead area. In 1954, and Miss Emma Bell Moore, she was the first graduating class, and she told me about when she graduated from there. And then Miss Delphi Patrick, she graduated in 1957, the year I was born. So back then, and you had to walk to school. Later on, after we got the Waccamaw School, we did have buses where it would go around and pick us up. But I do remember walking to school.
And I can relate to some of what you were talking about because I wanted to share with everyone about my grandmother, Elizabeth Lee Graham Jacobs. And I remember Grandma, which we called her Mama Lee, she would tell us how she went to school up to the 3rd grade. And she was only able to go to the 3rd grade because she had to say that she was not Native American to be educated. So we stand here sharing with others how proud we are to be able to not only stand on a strong foundation of education, but also to be working in higher education. As Native Americans, it speaks highly of what our ancestors have done for us and our elders, and we honor them. We thank them daily. We look at our community as it's growing and how we have doctors and we have so many different educators now in higher ed working as Native Americans in so many different industrial and technology fields. We thank those ancestors and those elders because they pushed for Native Americans to have rights, to be able to be educated and not have to change their nationality to say that they were not Native American. And with that being said, Elizabeth Lee Graham Jacobs, having only a 3rd grade level of education, was the smartest woman that I ever had the opportunity to work with, and not only to work with, but to be able to be taught from and to be loved on. My grandmother is also in the North Carolina History Museum, and one day I will take our children there to see her work. She was a quilt maker, and her husband, the late John D. Jacobs, was also the blacksmith, and Blacksmith Road is named after him, located in the Buckhead community. And one thing I wanted to share with others is how will you teach your children and your children's children their roots about their family? One way that we have stepped up to do that in our family is we have adopted through the North Carolina Adopt a Highway program in memory of John D. and Elizabeth Lee Graham Jacobs Highway.
Close knit, very close knit community. I remember as a child, we very seldom strayed out of the community. Most of our time was spent visiting family and friends right in the community. As I got older, is when we strayed out because we had our school, we had everything right there in the community. So, and we're still that close knit. Uh, I call it a family, a close knit family. Yes, we're a tribe, but I call it a close knit family that we support each other in what we do.
And I encourage all of you to think of creative ways that you can do to bring your family together, to teach your children, so that your children and your children's children can continue to pass on their heritage and know the roots of their family and the sacrifices that they have made for them. Thank you so much.
The jewelry is more of, it represents us in everyday life. Because when you're walking or you're at your job or you're at school like here, you wear these, people will automatically stop you because they're beautiful. They catch your eye. You automatically stop you and like, oh, what are those? Like, where'd you get them? And you can tell them, well, this is Native American jewelry. It's part of who we are. And as like women in general, these are a big hit everywhere. Like in general, just for other women, but Native women specifically, we buy them because they're unique. There's no other kind like them. This is part of us. It's where we can go out in everyday life and we still have a part of our culture with us at all times. At the powwows, you see a whole bunch of it. And part of it is because even though a powwow is what we do as a culture, it is also a little side hustle because you're also competing against these other dancers to win first, second, or third place. And like my mama has always told me, the flashier you are, the better. The brighter the colors, the brighter the sequences, they'll see you. I've don't know how many times all through my life, people have stopped me at powwows and asked, who did it? Like, what is the significance behind it? Does it show you who you are? Does it relate to you personally? Some, yes, because I know mine, the barrettes, which are the hair ties, and the choker and the centerpiece, it was won by my mother. She had they're called specials, so it's like little side competitions. And it was a women's traditional special. It was a red dress special. She won that about, I would say, 5 years ago. And she didn't want to give it away because she won it. And I got into a older category. So the higher category you go to, the more you have to present yourself. Like when you're in tiny tots or kids or teens, it really doesn't matter. As long as you dance, you're having fun, that's what it's all about. When I first started dancing, my mom, I wore her beadwork, which is what we call for powwows, is beadwork. And that was actually the first set she's ever made. It was a very emotional, sentimental moment that she could be able to pass that down to me. She could be able to make something herself, her first set at that, and be able to give it to her daughter. So there's all different types of dances we all do. Fancy is the one with the big wide shawl with the fringes that kind of look like butterflies when they're dancing, hence called the butterfly dance. And jingle is when they're wearing a dress or a shirt and skirt and they have the snuff can cones. It depends on who you are as a person, your attitude, your behavior. And some natives don't dance, and that's okay. Most men drum, and then you got a few who do both. And then you have grass and fancy and chicken, southern style, northern style, and you have woodland and Iroquois. When you're around your family, your friends, if you're just visiting, you hear the drums, you see the people dancing. And my favorite is when Jingle is doing sidestep. That's what gets me. Because being able to hear, it's like rain almost. And you got the drums to mix with it. It's almost like a healing that my spirit gets. It's magical almost.
I came as Goheri. As a Goheri, I came to understand the importance of family, Got a chance after church on Sundays to spend time with our family, to share stories, to spend times with my aunts, uncles, grandparents, and cousins. A lot of great stories that we shared during those Sunday evenings. I also learned the importance of community. We would go into the community in the homes and share stories and provide encouragement with those that live within the community. And also, whenever there was a time of need, we would come together to provide a helping hand. Also, as a Kahari, I came to understand the importance of resilience. My parents would share stories about our ancestors, about how they were able to overcome some of the hardships that they had, yet still they maintained their joy and clung to their faith.
Hi, my name is Hattie Campbell. I'm from the St. James community, and we are part of the Waccamaw Siouan tribe.
I am a member of the Waccamaw Siouan tribe, and I am also on the Board of Trustees here at Southeastern Community College, and I do enjoy working on that board.
I would like to tell you a little bit about the school that I went to when I was a child. I went to Hickory Hill Indian School. It was a two-room school. I walked 2 miles to get there. We had outside toilets, and we had 2 teachers. It was a wonderful experience to do that. When I went to school, I did not know my real name. I thought my name was Ray, and then the teacher told me my name was Hattie, and I went home and told my mama that the teacher had given me the wrong name.
After attending Hickory Hill, I didn't start at Hickory Hill. I started at Waccamaw Indian School, and we all went to Waccamaw Indian School. It was from 1st grade to 12th grade. We went, I was in 1st grade, and Miss Emerbell was one of my favorite teachers. Anyway, we went, and I went to school with 2 grades. The little ones, I went from 2nd to 3rd, 3rd to 4th. We had people in that class. 2 grades the whole time I was there until I was in the 8th grade. I guess we thought we were 1 grade. But that's what we did. And Waccamaw Indian School, we had the library, we had everything you thought we needed, and it worked out well.
Okay. Well, it was kind of a culture shock when we went to Waccamaw Indian School, because we went to another community. And it was another Indian community that we had to meet new people and associate with new people, and we had different teachers. Instead of 1 teacher, we had several teachers, and it was just a whole different world for us. We grew up poor, but we didn't know we were poor. I remember 2 students in my class who got hula hoops. My daddy and mama couldn't afford a hula hoop, but their daddy worked some kind of public job, and he bought his girls a hula hoop, and I thought that was amazing. I just realized couldn't afford it. We just could not afford it with 7 children. Growing up in church was, well, everybody went to church, not somebody, everybody. The only way you didn't go to church, you had to be deadly sick. That was just one of the things that our culture did. As natives, we all went to church. That's how we did our socials. That's how we had homecomings. That's where we gathered once a week, and that's what we did, everybody in the community. Tobacco was important to us. That was my daddy's livelihood. We, in 1954 or 55, we had Hurricane Hazel, and my grandma walked the road and came up to our house and said the tobacco was knee-high to a red bug's hiney. I'm like, I never heard that expression before. But anyhow, Hurricane Hazel demolished the tobacco that year.
Corn. It also killed, just all the corn was down, everything. So, but at the same time, my daddy also grew peanuts and corn. We got on the back of the trailer. We went and broke corn when it was dry. We broke the corn, we put it in the trailer, we put it in our, what we call a crib. We throw it in through the window. And we did that until I was grown.
My daddy took it upon himself one time to grow 2 acres of tomatoes, and he did not know he had to have a contract. And when he went to get a contract, because he was native, they would not give him a contract. So what my daddy did was give all the tomatoes to the community. Anybody wanted tomatoes. And then most of them rotted in the field. That was sad.
I finished high school and I came to Southeastern Community College. I attended for 2 years, and it was different because there were a lot of things that I did not know here, did not learn in high school, because I was at Waccamaw Indian for 11 years, and Miss Mintz taught my first real English class that she really made us say all kinds of poems and things of that nature. And I remember saying the Lord's Prayer. I said, I know that. We were taught that. Anyway, I was here at Southeastern and I needed $100 to complete my not semester, quarter, because it was not a semester, it was a quarter. I needed another $100, and I did not have that $100. My mother and father didn't have it to give to me, and I asked grandparents for it. They didn't have it. So I actually got a job, worked, and got that $100 and came back to Southeastern and until I transferred to Pembroke.
Well, my experience at Southeastern was my husband served in the Army for 22 years, and he promised me when we got back home he would send me to college. So I came over to Southeastern, and I met Miss Ruby Landon, who was a wonderful language arts teacher here, and she told me I didn't have the background and she needed to give me. I didn't know about Shakespeare, I didn't know about Moby Dick, I didn't know about all these great authors and the books I should read. So she gave me a stack of books to take home to catch up, because I was behind. I didn't get the education I was supposed to get. And, but I was willing to, and she was willing to help me get the education I needed.
I would like to also tell you that we were raised in a Christian home. My mother was a stickler for going to church every Sunday morning. My mother was very quiet. She was not loud at all. And she would, when she said something, we listened, because and she loved to sing. Gosh, she loved to sing. At night, she'd walk the halls and walk around the house, and she'd sing, and we would listen to her sing until we went to sleep.
Well, our dad was totally different. He was loud, and that was fine. But he was the most kindest, gentlest person in the world. My daddy, every Sunday, was the superintendent of the church. And my mama would lay out all our clothes. It was 7 of us, lay out all our clothes, and his job was to dress us. So he dressed us every Sunday to go to church. He was amazing. He was amazing, and I thank God that we had him.
Yes. And I'm going to tell you, I worked in Columbus County for 30 years. I taught school. I went to UNCP. Got my master's, turned around and went to Fayetteville State and got my second master's. But I did that, I did that because my sisters were getting their first master's and they were leaving me home. And I didn't want to be left out. So there had to be a reason, and I had a cousin who was going with them, and she was getting an administration degree. So I said, well, what's to stop me? I'm gonna get an administration degree too. So I became principal in Columbus County, but that's because of them.
Well, I went to UNCP, or Pembroke State. I transferred there from here, and then I got my undergraduate, and I taught school in Columbus County for 25 years, and I ended up going to Fayetteville State and got my master's, and then I got National Board Certification, and I'm home. I had 2 children during all this time, but that's basically it. And I thank you for your time, and thank you for having us.
Hello everyone, my name is Pamela Young Jacobs. I am the director of the Small Business Center here at Southeastern Community College. It is November and it's Native American Heritage Month, and today I wanted to share with you some facts about the tribe that I come from, the Waccamaw Siouan tribe. I started out here my educational journey at Southeastern Community College, and I transferred to UNC Pembroke, where I graduated before coming back here to work. So our tribe has about 1,675 members. We are one of the smaller tribes. And the first written history of our tribe is around the late 1600s during a war between the state of South Carolina, the Tuscarora, and ourselves. So our tribe retreated into the swamplands and settling around Lake Waccamaw. And we're known as the people of the falling star. And the reason why we're known as that is that years ago, around that time, when we were settling there was a huge meteor that fell to the ground, and the water from the surrounding areas just came in and formed a lake. And that was the home that we were settled around. And so that's why we are known as the people of the fallen star. We currently live in Bladen and Columbus counties. And our communities make up Buckhead, St. James Council, and the Chadbourn area. So back in the early 60s, the way that we came together to make decisions was our elders would come around together and they would discuss the issues that was going on with the people. So Mr. Riley Freeman was one of the first that people began to call him chief because he sort of emerged as a leader. Later on, Chief Clifton Freeman was our first official recognized chief of the tribe. And then after him was his daughter, Chief Priscilla Jacobs, who is is to date the only female to serve as a woman chief of our tribe. After Ms. Priscilla was named chief, she began the work with getting our tribe structured. So we have a 7-member tribal council, and they are the government. They are the governing body of the tribe. And as chiefs and council members, we work to maintain the sovereignty of our tribe, and we work for those educational, environmental, and health rights for our people. Also, she worked during those times in the 60s and 70s, they worked in the establishment of the Commission of Indian Affairs. The Commission of Indian Affairs represents the 8 state-recognized tribes and urban Indian organizations, and they work for the rights of each tribe. They look out for the rights of our tribes individually and collectively. The work that they did, along with others, back in the early 60s and 70s, caused our tribe to be state recognized, and doing so caused us to receive funds that helped our people to live a more sustainable life with education and health care. Chief Clifton, when he was chief, he appointed my dad, Mr. Jimmy Young, as the first assistant chief. And recently, this past year, I was elected as the assistant chief of the tribe, and I am the only female to be elected as the assistant chief. So some of the things that we do each year is we have our annual powwow, and it happens on the 3rd Friday of October each year. And during the powwow, it's like a huge homecoming, and everybody comes out together. Other tribes come and they join in with us, and we dance, and we share our traditions and our ways. It's just a huge fellowship with each other. Other tribes do that as well. So other tribes have their own time frame that they have their powwows and different festivals that happens in their area. Today, we still fight for federal recognition, cultural and environmental rights for our people. But we are still here. We are living and thriving and doing well in the world today. We're not just part of the history books. We are here walking among individuals in the areas that we live. We tend to live in 2 worlds. So we live in our cultural world whenever we're celebrating and we're practicing our traditional ways, and we live in the professional world whenever we are working in our jobs. So thank you for taking time to listen to a little bit of the history of the Waccamaw Siouan tribe.
Hello, my name is Mary Orenta Lowry Rebels. I'm a math instructor at Southeastern Community College, and for Native American History Month, we're celebrating all the tribes that are represented on our campus. And I am a proud member of the Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina, the largest tribe east of the Mississippi River. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you are things that are important to our culture: God, family, and education. And starting off with God, 2 of the foundations for me were the churches that I attended: Bear Swamp Baptist Church and Grave Pond Baptist Church in Scotland County and Robeson County. And for my family, I come from a strong lineage in both Robeson County and Scotland County. I'm a Lowry, Chavis, Clark, and Oxendine. And I'm proud to say that I attended UNC Pembroke, which was the first Indian normal school for the Lumbee tribe. My grandfather, Ulysses Chavis, attended the school, and my great-grandmother, Orinda Lowry, that I was named after, also attended the school. I grew up less than maybe 50 feet from where that school was located. So I am proud to be a Lumbee scholar, and I would like to thank everyone who shared their stories about their tribe and their culture. We really appreciate this opportunity to share that background with you.